Now, cinema is packed full of elemental and iconic scenes designed to get the blood pumping, but perhaps none has quite the emotionally stirring potential as a hero's desperate last stand. It's pretty much the bravest, ballsiest act a movie character can partake in, laying down their life for a greater ideal or to save another, and these actors and directors certainly made sure to make the most of it. So let's take a look at them. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are the 15 most epic last stands in movie history. Number 15, Ulmer and Donowitz. Inglourious Bastards. Trust Quentin Tarantino to come up with a last stand that's by turns brutal, hilarious, and engages with real-world history in a shocking and provocative way. All hell breaks loose during the premiere of Nazi propaganda film Nation's Pride, as the cinema begins to burn down while Ulmer and Donowitz break into the VIP box room and riddle Hitler and Goebbels with bullets. Mission accomplished, right? Well, not quite, because the pair then proceeds to keep firing their machine guns down at the panicked crowd of Germans at the cinema while it continues to burn down. Donowitz even unloads another clip into Hitler's face for good measure in one of the decade's greatest cathartic movie moments. Their brutal last stand comes to an end when the bombs attached to their legs detonate, killing both of them and exploding the little that remains of the cinema and everyone in it. Beautiful stuff. Number 14, Tom Hanks versus a tank, Saving Private Ryan. At the conclusion of Steven Spielberg's searing war epic, Captain Miller, played by Tom Hanks, attempts to destroy a bridge but finds himself mortally wounded by gunfire. He slumps down to the ground as a Tiger tank rolls onto the bridge, and all Miller can do is desperately unload his remaining pistol fire at it, but to his and the audience's surprise, it miraculously explodes after a few shots. A moment passes before an American fighter plane passes overhead, having bombed the tank to pieces. Miller may not have survived, but he died a hero's death, and somehow managed to come out of a face-to-face encounter with a tank without being blown to smithereens. Bravo, mate. Number 13, Captain Mifune, The Matrix Revolutions. Probably the most underappreciated badass in the entire Matrix franchise is Captain Mifune, who leads the APUs into battle during the fight against the Sentinels at Zion. As the grueling battle rages on, the captain ends up as one of the final surviving soldiers, and knowing full well that he has no chance of survival, commits himself to taking out as many of the machines as possible. Because he can expertly handle the APU, he blasts away as much ammo as he could spew out, and thanks to an assist from the kid, he was able to fire one more final barrage before the Sentinels overcome him and he slashed to pieces. Disappointing though the Matrix finale was in many respects, it's hard to argue with the awesomeness of this sacrifice, battle raw and all. Number 12, Say Hello to My Little Friend, Scarface. Now, who said that last stands have to be strictly heroic? Coked up, with all of his men dead and his sister brutally slain moments earlier, Tony Montana grabs a grenade launcher and launches an insane final assault on Sosa's men. Thanks to some well-placed grenade blasts and gunfire, Tony manages to eliminate a respectable amount of his goons, but the numbers game wins out in the end, and Tony gets riddled with machine gun fire before he ends up being shotgunned from behind, falling into the swimming pool below, finally dead. Montana not only got to die whilst defending his huge empire, but he took out an impressive amount of the enemy's side and looked ridiculously cool doing it. Number 11, Berserker Mode, Logan. After discovering that Donald Pierce, Xander Rice, and their men have tracked down the mutant children and are chasing them through a forest, Logan takes an overdose of a serum which gives him temporarily enhanced strength and healing. Cue Logan roaring and slashing his way through the forest, tearing soldiers limb from limb with ease and giving audiences the R-rated Wolverine showdown that they've been craving for years. Ultimately though, it comes down to Logan facing off against a clone of himself, X-24, and though he puts up a terrific fight, X-24 eventually mortally impales him on a tree branch as the serum begins to wear off. Laura then shoots X-24 dead with an adamantium bullet, and Logan gets to finally die, having successfully defended the children with every fibre of his being. And yes, let's all admit it, we cried here. Number 10, You Better Bury Ned Right, Unforgiven. Though last stands do typically result in the hero dying a hero's death, this isn't always the case. You see, in Clint Eastwood's unforgettable western, Bill Money learns that his pal Ned Logan was tortured to death by Big Whiskey Sheriff Bill Daggett, and he ain't happy about it. Money returns to the town to find Logan's corpse crudely displayed as a warning sign to other assassins, before entering the saloon where Daggett and his men are holed up, preparing to kill Money in the morning. Money slaughters the saloon's owner Dubois, and when Daggett chides him for killing an unarmed man, Money hilariously hilariously quips, "He should have armed himself if he's gonna decorate his saloon with my friend." Money then bares his soul to Daggett in a tense standoff, and when he attempts to fire the last barrel of his shotgun, it misfires. Daggett and his men all pull their weapons out, but Money is too quick, pulling a concealed pistol and wasting Daggett and his goons. He then pours himself a drink before returning to a dying Daggett to finish him off, and then gives a fierce warning to the rest of the town. Bury Ned properly and leave the women alone, or he'll be back. Number 9. Dyson Let's Go. Terminator 2 Judgment Day. As John Connor and company plot to blow up the Cyberdyne building in order to prevent Judgment Day, Cyberdyne engineer Miles Dyson ends up mortally wounded by police gunfire. When the cops sweep through the building, they find him clutching the detonator to the explosives, and he tells them, "I don't know how much longer I can hold this," prompting them to immediately evacuate. Dyson then drops the detonator as he dies, triggering a colossal explosion which destroys the facility. That is a pretty badass way for a computer engineer to go out, all things considered, and to his enormous credit, he had the courage to follow through with destroying his life's work mere hours after learning of its world-ending applications. Talk about a redemption arc, right? Number 8. The priest takes a leap of faith. The Exorcist. With Father Merrin killed while attempting to exorcise Reagan alone, we're left with Jason Miller's priest totally out of options, violently attacking the possessed Reagan and insisting that the demon Pazuzu takes his body instead. At that moment, he becomes possessed and Reagan is finally freed from Pazuzu, but in his final moments of humanity, our favorite priest makes the ultimate sacrifice, hurling himself out of a window to his immediate death, but also seemingly killing Pazuzu. As far as last stands that don't include hails of gunfire or huge explosions, this is a pretty impressive one, because here we've exhausted every other possibility, and so our hero takes on the only single and very brutal choice that is left for him. Number 7. Hello boys, I'm back. Independence Day. Probably the most heroic alcoholic in movie history, charming nutjob Russell, here played by Randy Quaid, takes a big one for the human race when he attempts to fire one last missile into the alien spacecraft, only for the firing mechanism to become jammed. Seeing no other option, Russell decides to fly directly into the ship's weak point, but not before spouting a few gung-ho one-liners, namely, "Alright, you alien assholes," in the words of my generation, "up yours," and "hello boys, I'm back." This attack works perfectly, exploding the saucer and effectively saving the day. Though neither as solemn or as brutal as some of the other last stands on this list, it's still an extremely satisfying way for humanity to triumph over the aliens. Number 6. Do It. Watchmen. Now, Rorschach takes a last stand of a philosophical sort at the end of Zack Snyder's comic book epic. Upon learning that Ozymandias has manipulated the United States and Soviet Union into allying against Dr. Manhattan, Rorschach insists that he must expose the truth, because an alliance built on a lie isn't really an alliance at all. Rorschach tells his superhero pals never compromise, not even in the face of Armageddon. But as he leaves, he's greeted by Manhattan, who can't allow him to blow the whistle. Rorschach then insists that Manhattan must kill him to stop him from doing so. And after Rorschach passionately screams, "Do it!" Manhattan explodes him into a bloody mist, much to Night Owl's horror. Low on bombast but big on ideas and tension, you've got to hand it to Rorschach for sticking to his principles to the very end. And Jackie Earle Haley absolutely just kills this scene. Number 5. Vasquez and Gorman. Aliens. After Vasquez puts up one hell of a fight against the xenomorph in a vent, she's badly wounded by its acidic blood, and Gorman heads back to rescue her. The pair then find themselves flanked by Xenos on either side, at which point Vasquez tells him, "You were always an asshole, Gorman," and the pair activate a grenade together, embracing as the grenade detonates, taking the attacking Xenos with them. Nothing big or fancy here, but undeniably a badass send-off for one of the best characters in action film history, going out on her own terms and avoiding becoming a xenomorph host in the process. Number 4. Superman, the Iron Giant. After government agent Kent recklessly orders a missile strike on the Iron Giant that will also destroy the surrounding town and everyone in it, the giant selflessly flies into space to intercept the missile and move it safely away from Earth. As he approaches the missile, young Hogarth's earlier words repeat in his mind, "You are who you choose to be," before he deems himself to be Superman, closes his eyes and collides with the missile, exploding it and saving the town. An emotionally devastating finale to an animated classic. The blow might be softened a little by the giant coming back to life at the end, but in that moment, it's still a beautiful, unforgettable sacrifice. Number 3. Leonidas takes all the arrows. 300. An epic last stand rooted very, very loosely in reality, King Leonidas manages to get one over on King Xerxes in his final moments, wounding his face with a spear which proves his mortality. After this, most of Leonidas' remaining men are quickly cut down, and realizing his death is imminent, he defiantly stands up to Xerxes' soldiers who have their arrows to the ready. He longs for his wife, by saying "my queen, my wife, my love" as the arrow barrage is fired in his direction, and it's all over. Jared Butler's gutsy performance, Tyler Bates' emotive musical score, and yes, even Zack Snyder's knack for entrancing visuals combined to make this one of the most memorable and iconic heroic send-offs of the 21st century so far. Number 2, Boromir Goes Down, The Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. Of the many deaths Sean Bean has performed throughout his career, this is his favourite, and it's easy to see why. In order to redeem himself for previously trying to take the ring from Frodo, Boromir protects Merry and Pippin for as long as possible, putting up a tenacious fight even as an Uruk chieftain fires numerous arrows into him. After Aragorn shows up and slaughters the chieftain, he shares a tender moment with Boromir as he dies, stating, "My brother, my captain, my king." And thus Boromir's redemption is complete. And though this masterful final stand is epic enough to land a number 1 on many people's lists, there's actually one final entry that pretty much invented the cinematic last stand. And that's number 1, Surrounded, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. This is the definition of a blaze of glory and the ultimate last stand in the history of film, as Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid find themselves badly wounded and surrounded by Bolivian soldiers. The pair discuss their future plans, namely heading to Australia, before running out of their cover and firing at the soldiers as the screen freezes on an image of the two, while the Bolivian soldiers can be heard firing hails of bullets. Whatever your interpretation of the pair's fate, it's a powerful finale which provides the perfect capper to one of cinema's most unforgettable bromances. Movies just don't get much better than that. And there we go, my friends. Those were the 15 most epic last stands in movie history. I hope you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section below. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me over on Instagram at RetroJ, but the O is a 0. And you can come check out all of the Warhammer miniatures that I've been painting. I know, I am a nerd. But before I go, I just want to say one thing. Hope you're treating yourself well, my friend, with love and respect, because you deserve all the best things in life, alright? And do not let anything or anyone else tell you otherwise. You are a massive ledge, and you deserve the bloody best. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.